Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to be talking about what causes gallstones at the root and then how you can remove them safely and painlessly without having surgery. Now I got this question asked recently on a comment on one of my videos, and the girl was asking if I could talk more about how your gallbladder affects digestion and then how you can actually heal your gallbladder without surgery. So I decided to make a whole video on that because I've actually gotten this question quite a few times and I think it's really important. So a lot of times when people have gallbladder pain, they're passing a gallstone and it's extraordinarily painful, or they have symptoms that could indicate they might have gallstones, like pale greasy stools, pain in that upper right quadrant right underneath your rib cage, nausea, things like that. They'll often go to the doctor and they might get an ultrasound or something to see if they have gallstones. Now, if you have a lot of gallstones or you're in the midst of passing one, oftentimes the doctors will recommend that you remove your gallbladder. Now, this is not a good solution at all. One, if you are in the midst of passing a stone, it's already left your gallbladder, so it doesn't even make sense to touch your gallbladder. The pain will be gone soon. You will pass it soon. Your body does actually know how to pass the stones effectively on its own without them getting stuck, as long as you don't interfere in a way that could worsen this and make it stuck. As long as you let your body do its own thing, it will get the gallstones out. Now, another thing to note here is even if your gallbladder is full of stones, you can naturally remove these. And if you were to get your gallbladder removed, you could still have the same issue. It would just become liver stones, or it would become stones that are stuck in your common bile duct. So stones and sludge as well. So even if you don't have full-on stones, if you just have that sludginess in your gallbladder, it is pretty much caused by the same thing if it's in your gallbladder, if it's in your liver, or if it's in your common bile duct. So even if you get your gallbladder removed, now you can just end up with liver stones instead. So you really do need to address the root cause, which is what I will be talking about in this video. If you don't know me already, my name is Kaylee. I'm a certified nutritionist and gut health specialist, and I love helping people to heal chronic gut issues at the root. Okay, I'm going to start by talking about what causes gallstones and sludge at the root, and then I'll get into how you can address the root cause and safely flush out these stones and then prevent any more from forming in the future. So the primary cause of gallstones or sludge is going to be weak bile flow. Now, you have bile. It's this fluid made mostly of cholesterol. It's made in the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and you release it when you eat fat to help emulsify and break up the fat. Basically, it helps to break fat into these tiny little fatty acids that can actually be absorbed through your gut lining and into your bloodstream and be used. In the absence of enough bile, what happens is these fat globs don't get broken down and they end up passing in your stools, which can lead to a lot of issues. It can lead to very greasy stools. It can lead to pale stools because bile is actually responsible for making your stools that dark brown color, but also leads to fat malabsorption. So you can get a lot of issues relating to fat, like nutrient deficiencies, and also fat soluble vitamin nutrient deficiencies. So vitamins A, D, E, and K all have to be in fat. So fat has to be broken down with bile to get those nutrients out and absorbed. So you can run into a lot of issues with the fat soluble nutrient deficiencies. But anyway, back to bile. So that's what bile is. And when you have weak bile flow, what happens is it gets kind of sludged up in that pathway. So remember, it's stored, or it's made in the liver. It travels to the gallbladder where it's stored. Then when you eat fatty food, that's what stimulates that bile release, and then the bile goes through the common bile duct and into your intestines. So if this process is not moving effectively and regularly and efficiently and quickly, then it starts to sludge up a little bit. Now, bile has a few other functions. So one, it helps you to eliminate toxins. So you probably already know your liver is a huge detox organ, and it breaks a lot of toxins down, puts them back into your stools, and makes it so your body can get rid of toxins. Some toxins or heavy metals or parasites are too large to be broken down all the way, so your body will actually form a bile stone around that toxin. So this is where it basically takes like bile salts and surrounds this fragment of heavy metal or chunk of parasite or some kind of toxin so that it isolates it from your body and it can be passed in the common bile duct into your digestive system, stay intact, and then be removed in your stools. So this is actually a natural process that your body goes through. We make bile stones, we make gallstones. This helps us to eliminate toxins. But the thing is, if you have a good, well-flowing bile flow in this whole system, it will easily flush these out and remove them. So the problem occurs when your bile flow is too weak, you're not making enough bile, or you're not stimulating that bile release, and it's all sludging and backing up, because then the stones get more stuck. So a huge thing you're probably noticing here is your toxin load is going to impact this as well. Because while this is a natural process and it is a way for your body to effectively get rid of toxins, if you're exposed to tons of toxins all the time, you are going to make it more challenging for your body. And if you already are dealing with gallstones and having the system all backed up, if you add more toxins, you're just going to add more bile stones, and you're going to make this harder on yourself. So you do really want to minimize your toxin exposure. Also note that an imbalanced gut microbiome is going to lead to more stones as well. And if your stones keep backing up, they will block your bile flow. Okay, so we talked about why your body makes these bile stones, these gallbladder stones, liver stones, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same thing. It's just where they are in that system. But now let's talk about why your body would have that weak bile flow. Okay, so first reason can be excess estrogen can weaken your bile flow. And this can be from things like hormonal birth control, excessive exposure to endocrine disruptors like plastic and fragrances and different things that are commonly in like beauty products and different toxins like that. So if your hormonal balance is not good and you have excess estrogen, this can slow your bile flow down. Also, excess cortisol. So if you are very stressed constantly, this can also weaken your bile flow. Another one is excess insulin. So if you have diabetes, pre-diabetes, or on that insulin resistance spectrum, then this is probably going to be more common of an issue for you. So that is another thing. Also, if you have a low-fat diet, like I've been saying, you need to eat fat to stimulate the bile release, and this needs to be happening on a regular basis. So a low-fat diet is like the worst thing you can do for gallstones. Another thing is constipation can back things up and decrease that bile flow, but also bile helps lubricate your stools and improve constipation. So weak bile flow can also cause constipation. So this can be kind of like a chicken and egg situation here. So you would want to work on both simultaneously if you are struggling with constipation and bile flow issues. You want to find the other root causes that are at play and work on both at the same time. And then it will get better and better as you improve both. And then the final main cause for low bile flow is going to be low stomach acid. So you need a very acidic stomach with a low pH around 1 to 3 when you're digesting your food. This is super important for digesting your food properly, breaking everything down. And then after this, when your food is coming out of your stomach and into your small intestine, it's acidic, and this needs to be neutralized because our intestines aren't lined the same way that our stomach is, and they can't handle that acid. So as soon as that food starts to come down just a little bit at a time, our body releases bicarbonate ion, and it stimulates more bile flow to help neutralize the stomach acid that is coming into your intestines. So strong stomach acid also promotes strong bile flow, and a lot of people are suffering from weak stomach acid. So that is going to be too basic, not acidic enough of stomach acid. And this is largely due to antacids and taking PPIs and things like that. There are other causes as well, but it is a huge problem nowadays. So if you are taking anything like that, you do want to get off of that, and you want to learn to stimulate your stomach acid and make strong stomach acid. And I have a whole video on that, so I'll link it above and down below if you want to check it out. Okay, let's talk briefly about the symptoms of gallstones so that you can just kind of check off and see if this is something that you likely have. So pale, greasy stools, I already talked about this, is very common. It also is common for your stools to float. Pain in that upper right quadrant area of your abdomen, so think right underneath your right rib cage. Nausea is very common, headaches and migraines, PCOS, PMS, painful irregular periods, and any kind of other hormonal issues. Neck and shoulder pain, low stomach acid, so this could be acid reflux, poor digestion, poor nutrient absorption, so nutrient deficiencies, and then fat-soluble nutrient deficiencies like I talked about earlier. Jaundice would be a more extreme form, so that's if you have yellow skin and yellow eyes, and then vomiting and constipation are other symptoms. So let's talk about how to cure this. So for curing it, you want to create more bile and get it flowing very well, and that will help to dilate your bile ducts and flush out these stones easily. So first you want to correct the root cause or root causes of low bile production. So if you've got constipation, you really need to make this a top priority because your stools is the last stop where toxins get out. So if your stools are backed up, then any toxins your liver's trying to get out aren't going to be able to get out effectively. So it really slows down that whole bile flow process. So if you have constipation, I have tons of videos on overcoming constipation. I'll link a video I have up above about the most common root causes of constipation and how to overcome it, and I'll link it down below as well. Moving on to the next root cause, we talked about if you have excess estrogen. So if you do, you're going to want to do things like get off of hormonal birth control, minimize exposure to plastics, minimize exposure to other endocrine disruptors, make sure you're minimizing stress, and do other things like that to balance your hormones. If you have excess cortisol, excess stress, then you're going to want to work on managing stress in order to overcome this. If you have a low-fat diet, you're going to want to increase fat gradually in your diet. You don't want to go too quickly if your body's not used to it, but you do want to gradually increase that fat. If you have excess insulin and that is causing your slow bile flow, then you're going to want to address that, and you're going to want to cut out those processed carbs and sugars. And then when you do consume carbs, make sure that they are really healthy ones like root veggies and fruits and are consumed in a balanced meal with protein and fat. That's going to be one of the biggest things for overcoming diabetes and insulin resistance. And then if you have low stomach acid, you're going to want to stop taking those PPIs or antacids. I had a client, Darian, who had acid reflux caused by low stomach acid for several years, and she just cold turkeyed off the antacids, really worked on her diet and digestive system as a whole, and the acid reflux just went away very quickly. This is a symptom that I see go away very quickly for clients as soon as they stop taking the antacids and they start taking something like apple cider vinegar, HCl, or lemon water, something to improve that acidity in their stomach. And again, I mentioned earlier, I have a whole video on this, so I'll link that down below, all about how to increase your stomach acid naturally and overcome things like acid reflux and low bile flow. So those are the root causes of low bile production. You're also going to want to address the root causes of excess stone formation, because even though making stones is a way your body naturally gets rid of toxins, if you're making more stones than normal, it is going to be more difficult, especially if you're already backed up with some. So you've got to decrease toxin exposure. That is huge. I've talked about that a lot. You also are going to want to heal your microbiome. So that's going to be huge. That is a big topic. So I will link a video I have up above about healing your microbiome, and I'll link it down below too. And then we can get into some more things that you can do to start healing. So one of them is going to be to drink GAPS shakes. So these are from the GAPS diet that's made by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. And this is something that she recommends for low bile flow, and I think is a very effective thing. So first you want to make juice, and yeah, I'll go over the recipe first. So first you're going to want to make a juice from 1 carrot and 2 to 3 apples, or you can sub the apples for an equal amount of pineapple. You want to use a stick of celery, a small wedge of beetroot, a small piece of cabbage, and optional, you can add a little lemon or greens. And so you make the juice, and then you're going to take 1 to 2 raw eggs, the whole egg, and then you're going to take 4 to 5 tablespoons of a fat. So you can do homemade raw sour cream, you can do raw butter, you can do ghee, you can do an animal fat, olive oil, or coconut oil, and then it's optional to add some cod liver oil to this. So basically you take everything, you blend it, or you whisk it by hand, you just mix it really well, and then you drink it in the morning or in the afternoon on an empty stomach. Now, if you currently are nauseous and you have pale, greasy stools and you don't feel good and you're not digesting fat well, please don't drink a whole shake right away. You really need to ease into this. So what you actually want to do is start with a really small amount. This could be like 2 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup, like you want to baby yourself here, and gradually increase it. So if you have really, really blocked up bile, lots of stones, really bad fat digestion, try having like 2 tablespoons once a day for like a week, and then the next week you could up it to like a 1/4 cup, and then if you're feeling okay, the next week you could have a 1/2 cup maybe, or 6 tablespoons, and if you aren't feeling the best, then just keep it at a 1/4 cup or go down. So you want to go really, really gradually and work your way up to having 1 to 2 glasses every single day, and you want to keep that up until your stones are completely gone and your fat digestion is restored to normal. So that's an excellent thing that you can do for clearing those stones and then restoring that normal bile flow and fat digestion. So another thing you want to do is you really want to eat plenty of fat, especially saturated fat and animal fats. This will really help to dilate your common bile duct and also stimulate that bile flow. It'll create a demand for more bile, and if you're consuming if you're consuming enough cholesterol, it will also give your body the tools it needs to make more bile. So this is really important. Another note here, go slow. You don't want to just up this like crazy, because it's going to be really uncomfortable because your body is not capable of digesting a lot of fat at the moment. So go really gradually, just like those GAPS shakes. So you can add a teaspoon of fat a day for a week, and then add 2 teaspoons the next week. So just go very gradually. You don't have to go crazy. That your body will adapt much better if you go slowly, but it's going to be really important to start increasing your fat intake. You also need to eat enough protein, preferably animal proteins, so meats, eggs, dairy, things like that, and that is crucial for increasing your bile production as well. Now, another thing you can do is you can take an ox bile supplement or bile salts. So this can help to kind of fill that void of not having enough bile in the meantime, to help you break food down better and just get your system more on that track. This can be really helpful. And then you want to wean off of those as your bile flow is increasing, so that you can depend on your own body's bile, but it can be really helpful in the short term. So for that, you take 1 to 2 capsules with every single meal. Now, you can also do apple cider vinegar water. You can do it hot or just room temperature. I don't really like cold drinks because they're a little bit harsh on your digestion, but the apple cider vinegar can help just to increase that acidity in your stomach. So if you have low stomach acid, this is going to be really, really helpful. Or you could do an HCl supplement, that works too, but I really like the apple cider vinegar water, so that's going to be really helpful. Optional, you can do coffee enemas if you want, because what happens is the coffee will be absorbed into your liver, and then it will create a bile like purge. It will release a lot of bile and really clear that pathway out. So it's optional. You can also drink coffee. It will have a similar effect. If you have constipation and issues with bile flow, coffee enemas are a really awesome solution there. But I also know that a lot of people are uncomfortable with that or don't want to do that. So if that's you, that's okay. You can still heal without it just fine. But if you are open to that, it can be really powerful for healing. You're also going to want to eat liver. There's an ancestral principle called like heals like, meaning that what you eat is good for the corresponding organ in you. So even though this is gallbladder, it really starts in the liver. So liver is really helpful, but you can also eat gallbladder if you want. There are supplements that are more geared to this, that are made of like beef liver, beef gallbladder, and they might even have a little bile in there too. So some kind of combination like that is going to be really healing for this. But also note that just eating liver is going to be really beneficial too. You want to reduce your toxin exposure. I know I said this before, but it is so important. You really should not be having any alcohol or tobacco or any kind of endocrine disruptors in your life. A little bit of plastic is fine because it's so hard to avoid, but really do your best to limit it. And this is just, it's a must for healing this. And then another option is you can have a liver detox tea. I really like this. They taste good too, so it's nice to have at the end of the night. But basically you can make it with dandelion root, burdock root, milk thistle, different herbs that are good for a liver detox. You can make your own or you can buy it in the store. Traditional medicinals and yogi tea both have a really good one. All right, so that is the bulk of what you want to do to heal your gallbladder, to flush out those stones naturally and painlessly. But there's a really common other thing that people talk about, and that's gallbladder flushes. So I wanted to address that. Are gallbladder flushes a good idea or not? So they're not a good idea when you're backed up with a lot of sludge and stones. It's a bit forceful. Oh, first I should probably say what they are. So if you're not familiar with a gallbladder flush, essentially it's drinking a lot of olive oil and followed by a juice. I think they typically use, or it might be the juice ahead of time. It's a combination of drinking a large amount of olive oil, like a cup or two, drinking a lot of juice. I believe it's apple juice. It can vary a little bit. And I think Epsom salt typically too. So the idea is to create a big purge of bile and to flush everything out. Now, it's just a bit abrupt if you're really backed up with a lot of stones. Your body is really good at getting rid of stones if you don't interfere and you just do the things I was mentioning before that are very mild, like eating more fat to help dilate your bile duct and to help stimulate more bile from flowing, addressing those root causes of low bile flow so your body starts making more. Working with your body like that is very safe, it's very effective, and it will help your body to move those stones out, which it knows how to do. But a gallbladder flush is just a bit too extreme and not something your body typically would have. You don't typically drink a cup or two of olive oil with a bunch of juice and Epsom salt. It's not something that would normally happen. So it can kind of overwhelm you, and I think you could be a little bit more at risk for getting something stuck. Now, I'm not opposed to these, just if you have a lot of stones, I don't think it's a good solution. Another note is it's going to purge a lot of bile, and your body actually recycles and reuses a lot of bile. So you run the risk of getting rid of too much bile and having a hard time absorbing it all back to be able to reuse it again. And if you already have low bile flow, low bile production, this could potentially make it worse. So it can be something that is helpful down the road, but if you're really backed up, it's not going to be the best solution right now. Yeah, so that is going to be how to flush those gallstones out and restore your bile flow so that you don't keep getting any gallstones in the future. And yeah, I hope you found that helpful. If you're looking for more help with healing your body holistically and naturally through diet and lifestyle, then I would love to work with you. I have a program called Ancestral Gut Healing, where I help people to get to their individual root causes for their chronic issues. I help them to heal their gut, to fix their diet, to nourish their body, and get all their systems working effectively again. I have a huge focus on ancestral eating and working with your body naturally. I believe your body knows how to heal. We just need to give it the right resources and get out of its way. So if you would like help working through your gut issues, I will leave a link down below where you could book a call with me. This is a free call where you can learn more about what I offer, see if it's a good fit for you, and if you would like to work together. So if you're interested in that, check out that link down below. And I have a video on 9 foods and drinks to clean out your liver. So if you liked this video and you want to learn more about some other things you can do to clean out your liver and gallbladder and get that bile flowing well, definitely check out that video. I'll put it on the screen in a second. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more videos on holistically healing your body, gut health, and ancestral nutrition, be sure to subscribe because I put out new videos every week. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share it with a friend. I appreciate any of that. Thanks for watching.